Hello there, fellow adventurers. My name is Benderbutt GM, and today I'm trying a new format called Dice-Driven Drama. The concept being that we create a story on the fly where everything the protagonist does requires D20 skill check. That's rolling a D20 against a CR rating or challenge rating of my own choosing. Based on their success or failure, I amend the story to that. If you like this format, let me know and I'll create more of it. Or if you'd like this format but not the story, I can start in a totally fresh place every week. Alright, story go now. When you hear tales of dragons raiding towns, it feels so impossibly unfathomable that it could ever happen to you. All that destruction, chaos, and death, and it turns out I was right, because our town got attacked by a lich instead. Cowering behind the hut's closed door, thankfully locked, I hold my breath as the skeleton walks by and presses on the door. I pray he will not discover me. Stealth check CR 13. It's a 14, success! With a foul exhale smelling of death itself, the shambling corpse moves on to the next hut, searching for fresh souls to collect. This time, I have evaded them. Then, a flash of reconciliation stings my very soul as I realize my sister Camilla is not upstairs. She had gone out foraging before bed. Stark horror bleeds into anger as I, Matthias, must brave the army of the undead patrolling our streets and a quick-tempered lich in order to reach my sister. Sword at the hip and cloak over my shoulders, I sneak out in the doorway and into the burning streets as a cacophony of screams and combat explode from every direction. I'm going to head east, the closest patch of fertile forest where Camilla and I regularly forage what little we can. I pray she has not been discovered. Turning onto the last street until I'm out of town, a line of rotting flesh blocks the way. I was not expecting them and scramble out of sight. Stealth check CR 13. It's a 5, fail. My oversized cloak forces me to slip and I fall onto the hard ground with my swords clattering, alerting the creatures. I turn to them. Perception check CR 8. It's an 8, that's a success. Fate is a cruel mistress as I catch a glimpse of my sister's limp form, blood pooling from an open wound on her forehead. If I run, this may be the last time I see her. I have no choice to use my blade that my father taught me very little of before his passing. 2 of the vile creatures charge at me. Sword drawn, I attempt to remove the skull of the first. It's an attack, CR 15. Oh, a 16, it's a success. Be it luck or adrenaline, the skull flies cleanly from the body as its form goes limp. Seeming not to notice his deceased friend, the second monster presses a decrepit rusted blade at my chest. CR 12 to dodge. It's a 6, a failure. A cut this deep will have me passing out soon. This will be my final blow. One hand holds back a swarm of warm blood pulsing out of my body, while the other hand crashes downwards into the rotting beast's form. CR 15 to attack. It's a 10, failure. The cut is too shallow, and I have no energy to protect myself from the hilt of his blade as it comes crashing into my skull. Time passes like a lazy river. Images of disgusting places, vile acts committed on others, of strength and weakness crashed inside my skull. Are these things real or my imagination? CR 10 wisdom check. It's an 11, success. The pain in your legs gives it away. You're being dragged through town. These horrific acts are being performed on your friends and neighbors. Are these the acts of a lich or marauders? Matthias can't be sure, but it is no mood to relive such vile imagery so willingly. He tries to focus and push past the pain, the noise. CR 8 concentration check. It's an 8, success. A few heavy blinks later and some bloody mucus spat up, Matthias suddenly feeling very aware of his situation, that of being moved from dragging to being tied to a pole. The heavy wooden posts stand 6 feet tall and dug deep into the soil. As much as you wriggle and try to make yourself free, you're unable to make any movement happen. Did the lich bring these posts, as they're not normally a part of the town's fixture? The thought burns out of Matthias' mind as quickly as it comes, drowned out with the sight of Camilla, your sister. She's groggy and not completely lucid. He calls out, "Camilla! Cam!" Cam, can you hear me? A CR8 charisma check. And it's an 11, a success. Camilla's head rises up. The pair's eyes lock for a moment before she bursts into a fit of coughing and crying. You instinctively tug at your bonds, trying to reach your distraught sibling, pulling harder than you have ever pulled in your life. A CR13 strength check. It's a 7, failure. But the bonds do not give way. Finally composed enough to speak, Camilla cries out to her brother. Matthias, praise the goddesses you're alive. Then a flash of fear as Camilla's eyes discover your wound. You're hurt. We need to get you some herbs on that cut right away. Let me call the guards. I can stitch you up right, no problem. Her panic and love for you, her remaining family member, gives way to reason. No guard would allow a defiant prisoner to be treated. Asserting an air of calm and control, I pull at the inner calm and intelligence I know lies right below the surface of my sister's panic. CR10 charisma check. It's a 7, fail. No, sis, please, I'm fine. I've gotten worse cuts than this. But the sentiment rings so blatantly false as I have not had a scar bestowed on me before this day. Camilla's panic continues. No, rises, to the point it eventually draws the attention of a ghostly figure. Her form is so difficult to perceive due to the ghostly nature. CR8 investigation check. It's a 13, success. The swirling image of an elf is clearly visible, but hatred and malice have twisted the once beautiful features into this unending ghostly form of terror. Floating mere inches from Camilla's face, the CR13 monster info check. It's a 9, failure. The elf ghost places a hand on her head. A whisper from the grave escapes her lips. Pure souls are to come by in these dangerous times. Her neck snaps like an owl in your direction. And with such a defiant family like you have, it's no wonder he's kept you safe all this time. A malice-filled chuckle seems to sit like a fog in the air around us. I'll hear you scream when we perform the sacrifice on the blood moon, but for now... Ethereal voices burst from her form as a flash is seen and panic seems to encompass Camilla's face. That spell. CR10 Arcana check. 1, a crit failure. The spell seems to have failed. That must be what's keeping Camilla from screaming, seeing such a powerful foe fail so miserably. I find a small bit of comfort in this, especially as the elf ghost floats back into the fold of her larger forces. Camilla mimes words in my direction. CR10 perception check. A 1, a crit failure. She seems like she's working through some stuff. I close my eyes and take a deep breath. She can handle herself. The blood moon, huh? All I know is the next full moon is CR6 history check. It's a 5. Fail. Isn't for a couple of days. Sounds like that's when they'll kill us. Matthias squeezes his eyes shut, trying to block out the pain and the loss of the day to focus on the mission ahead. CR8 concentration check. It's a 5. Fail. But whether it's the pain or the length of the day, his soul fails him and he collapses unconscious. And that is where the story of Camilla and Matthias ends for right now, but it will most likely come back next week. I enjoyed writing the hell out of this, that's for sure. And I hope you guys liked watching it. If you want to see more of these types of stories, let me know in a comment below. Especially because I'm trying out this new format. Or let me know if you want this format but a different type of story, and I can make that happen too. Thanks. Have fun adventuring, y'all.